Hey guys, I just wanted to take a moment to record a quick video. I'll be doing more videos and blogs on this topic here pretty soon. But there was one thing in particular that I wanted to address directly immediately, which is whether you're on the right or the left of this situation, there's one thing that we should not be doing, which is assuming that everybody shot by Kyle Rittenhouse is therefore a saint in need of being canonized as a hero and a beautiful person. And I was here on this group called Progressive Activists. I got removed from the group for arguing with them just a little bit about this topic. But I think this all kind of plays hand in hand. It's like this is a tribute to Anthony Huber, an anti-racist victim of the supremacist attack of Kyle Rittenhouse of 17 years old. There's other articles that kind of support things like this. Kenosha shooting victims identified, remembered as sweet, loving guys by family and friends. Well, here's the problem. They're not sweet, loving guys. Here's the court record for Huber in particular. Second-degree recklessly endangering safety, use of a dangerous weapon, domestic abuse, strangulation and suffocation, domestic abuse, false imprisonment, domestic abuse, use of a dangerous weapon, battery, domestic abuse, use of a dangerous weapon, disorderly conduct, domestic abuse, use of a dangerous weapon, disorderly conduct, and domestic abuse. So, no, he actually wasn't a sweet, loving guy. In fact, he was a piece of human garbage. Now, it's important to note that whether or not you agree with whether or not Kyle Rittenhouse should have shot this man, that's not really my point. Even if you don't think that Kyle should have done that, it doesn't suddenly make this guy, a beautiful martyr in need of being canonized as a saint and a victim, fighting the good fight for the movement. This is the kind of person that I think doesn't like cops because he doesn't like getting arrested for beating women. And I've met people like that more than once in my life who basically were anarchists who clearly demonstrated to me why they were not somebody that I would want to have as my neighbor in an anarchist society. So, again, even if you are anti-Kyle, that doesn't suddenly make everybody that he shot into somebody who is like a model citizen who is just there to do the right thing. Now, with that said, one of the other really ironic pieces of hypocrisy going on here, which is pretty common right now, it's like everybody's divided up into teams, and you got to be able to make your team look as good as possible and their team look as bad as possible. So on this group here, I said, isn't this the guy that had a rap sheet that included domestic violence? And then they go, well, what does that have to do with anything? It was like, so we're going to shoot cops that have a history of domestic violence, etc. And then I was removed from the group. This was the only exchange I've even had on this group recently. But what's posted directly below that? I mean, because here I'm being told the guy being involved in domestic violence is just not that important. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. He's a great guy. We have to have a tribute to to Anthony Huber, an anti-racist victim of the supremacist attack of Kyle, blah, blah, blah. Stopped with a skateboarder, to heroically defend everybody. It doesn't matter that he was, involved in domestic violence. Okay, so anyway, posted right below this on the same forum, we have this, which is a video that's being touted right now as being evidence that Kyle Rittenhouse was involved with domestic abuse because he allegedly punched a girl. Now, I've watched this video, and there was a scuffle, and I'll get into commenting again on that later, but it's not like he just walked up and hit a girl in the face, and, that girl was fighting with another girl, and he was actually trying to break that situation up, and then it got physical, and then, there were 2 boys and 2 girls involved in the exchange. With all of that said, even if Kyle was a complete, heartless domestic abuser, well, what do we have here? This person says, we knew he glorified police, who's surprised by some practice for domestic abuse. Real piece of shit, he's a, punk-ass motherfucker, etc., because they're saying that he was, involved in domestic abuse. So why is it okay, or rather, why is it not okay for Kyle Rittenhouse to be involved in any kind of domestic abuse? Why is that something that we could, obviously all domestic abuse is wrong. That's kind of the point. This is a rhetorical question. Why is it not okay for Kyle to be involved in domestic abuse, but it is okay for this piece of shit to be involved in domestic abuse? That doesn't make any sense at all. And it kind of goes to the core of what I've been saying for the longest time on this is that people have divided themselves up into like tribes or, cliques or religions, and anything that somebody on their side does needs to be, acceptable. And if you bring up any of the negatives, then you're just a bad person. Anything that represents the opposing side must be taken in the worst possible light, no matter what, etc., etc. And domestic abuse is apparently only bad, to the point of condemning somebody if it's somebody doing it that's not on your side. I mean, we see similar things, when it came to, for example, Joe Biden being a rapist and the feminist groups that, would have called out Donald Trump for any way that he mistreated women. For some reason, were dead silent when the possibility of Joe Biden mistreating women came up. And honestly, just to be clear, I think both of them mistreating women is wrong. But that's because I'm an independent free thinker who's not lost in some like groupthink pack mentality. So yeah, this guy's a piece of shit. He's not like some beautiful hero who, loved everybody and just had flowers and, and unicorns everywhere. Identified, remembered as sweet, loving guys. The first guy that he shot, the Rosenbaum guy, is actually a convicted pedophile, and I'll get into that later. But anyway, again, case file. This is not like some random blog. It's not something somebody made up. The guy, had multiple accounts, or basically, for domestic abuse, strangulation, battery. I mean, he's a piece of garbage. So getting shot by somebody that you don't agree with does not canonize somebody as a saint. Just the manner in which he died does not make him a saint. So, anyway, keep that in mind, folks.